Well, this is a follow-on to the video I just did about picking up a Williams 2361 FP45 Union Pacific locomotive at the Binghamton train show, right? And I pulled the shell off to see what it looked like inside. Very simple. But it's got the two vertical can motors with flywheels. And really, I think that board's just about being a rectifier more than anything else. No sound or fancy things. It's got a reverser, and it rectifies AC into DC for those DC can motors, right? And it's got those trucks where these are the two drive, and that's kind of a floater. We've got that on a couple of the other locomotives. And, you know, as much as I don't like the overhang that they have when they go around corners, they do go around corners, right? Of course, two pickups. And this is the K-line Trainmaster project that I was working on, fixing an issue where it didn't have a functioning pickup. Now notice its trucks have got the powered to all three axles, including the floater in the middle. Now these guys here work really well. They pull hard. And I'm not sure they go around a corner quite as well as these Williams do, but they do work well on my track. And notice there's quite a bit more bling inside here too, plus a little guy to make sure it all works good. But it's got not just the reverser and rectifier that the Williams has, but it also has a smoke unit. And, well, I'm not sure what all the rest of it is, but definitely has more bling. And of course it also has two vertical can motors, which look remarkably like the ones on the Williams. So this is a project I will finish. Not sure when, but not in this video, because that isn't what I wanted to do a video about. Now I pulled the shell off, and I'd taken apart this Williams, which runs perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what I want. Now, I had done a video a little while back on this Williams SD45, you know, the 4656 in Pennsylvania, and it really didn't pull very hard because it has just one powered truck, although it does have a can motor. I don't believe that can motor has a flywheel. Nope, it doesn't. It's just a big old can motor. And instead of having a second powered truck, it's got that piece of bar stock in there. And this didn't have a motor at all. And not only that, it has, you know, cheesy things like the plastic side covers there, instead of the cast like the K-line does, or even this Williams. So basically a low dollar unit. I think it's good for being a dummy. It's not really good for being a powered much anything. And kind of like the pusher I had done with my Alcos, it'll slide right along if it gets overpowered, or if the lead locomotive stops prematurely, it'll spin. It won't do a lot of damage to the train. So I think I'll eventually put it back together for that purpose. See that, or I'll put it back together and move it along. But what I wanted was to see if the SD45 shell, which is actually quite a bit nicer than the FP, this was a passenger locomotive, you know, a little more streamlined car body style. And this is the SD45 we all know and love. We see him go through town in Susquehanna colors. And that shell is actually quite a bit nicer than its underpinnings. And I just wanted to see if it was going to fit. I don't know if it matters what direction it goes on. It looks to me like it's pretty symmetric, right? So only thing that has to happen is the holes have to line up with these holes here, so I can put some screws through. And let's see if that works. Yeah, and look at that. fits right on. No pain or strain. Now it just has a wrong color side plates there, so I'll eventually do something about that. Now, I'm not even sure Pennsylvania even had FP45s. I'm not sure they had SD45s either. Now, I know Union Pacific did, but this might have been one of those locomotives that never really existed. I'll do a little research to see, you know. But at least it has a road name that will fit what I do around here. Now the question is what to do with these pieces. You know, maybe what I'll do is try to eBay that off and end up with another East Coast road name for that chassis. Maybe another one of these Pennsylvania ones. And then I can use that for a dummy. That's probably what's going to happen. But I'm not going to put those cheese ball plastic side plates on this. So let's go see if this will actually pull something. Well, I guess amazingly enough, it runs just as good with a Pennsylvania shell as it did with the Union Pacific. Kind of matches right up. I had to spread this a little bit. I think on the SD series with a more narrow cover right there, you probably have to mount that board vertically for more clearance. But it just barely fit. And of course this Reading Lionel 804 from the 90s. So that's another whole story right there. Both of these are older locomotives on the grand scale of things. I mean, technology has moved quite a bit further forward. And this was a, I don't know, mid-1990s era Lionel. And they were really beginning to increase function and basically the overall look and feel of their product from the MPC era by then, evolving into what we have now. And of course Williams, well, this is a blend. They were trying to figure out what part of the marketplace they wanted to be in under, I think, withering competition from MTH and K-Line and Lionel. Of course, K-Line eventually killed itself. Lionel, K-Line had the battle to the death, and Lionel ended up winning that one and absorbing the brand name. where Williams continued on, and I think they kind of lost their way a little bit. What I see from the Williams product is that they run good. I think they missed a little bit on the scale because Lionel pretty much dominates the world with their semi-scale stuff. The scale O type people just need a huge layout in order to make that look right. So that's one. And the second is, as compared to MTH, the Williams don't have the detail. MTH was a nicer looking model. Of course, I believe Williams was priced at the lower end of those kind of models. I mean, this stuff here is, my God, you can get them for $100, $120, and for that kind of money, it's a lot of locomotive for anybody's layout, but especially if like pulling trains that are past the typical 5-car train, having the Williams gives you the capability of doing that. I just wish they were scaled just a little bit different, but that's just me. And MTH, of course, I think they hit it out of the park with the Rail King series. You know, these. I got a couple of them in here somewhere. Of course, this is the Lionel. But my point is that, you know, Williams did okay. They got absorbed by Bachmann. And these run really good. I think these are scaled a little bit better than the series right here. I mean, these just look a little bit toy-like for me. You know. But it runs good, pulls good, for $80. It keeps me from buying a whole bunch of other junk to make that, well, this shell work properly. I just slap that shell on the chassis, and sure, the side plates are colored wrong, but I don't know if there ever was a Pennsylvania SD45, you know what I'm saying? So who cares? Pulls these no problem, that's for sure. We'll see a little bit later how much of a freight train I can pull. And I do think what I'm going to do with the other chassis is turn it into a DPU pusher type locomotive for longer freights. Of course, I don't have any scale low cars, so we'll just have to make do with the Lionel. But I would say this is a success.